Good morning, everyone, and hopefully having a good morning. The breaking news that came out earlier today is that Shericka Jackson is out of the 100 meters and will be replaced by Shashali Forbes. First, this is shocking for many people, obviously. Uh, some people might suggest that we saw this coming. Don't really know. The emotions right now probably different when it comes to fan reaction. However, she also confirmed that she's out of the 200 meters doing a media event there in Paris. We want to say we wish her the very best, and hopefully this is a calculated decision that will get her to perform very well over 200 meters. We can get into that. Don't forget to give me your thoughts on it as well. But we're a bit disheartened by this news clearly because the prospects of Jamaica doing well for a number of people rest on Shericka Jackson. At least this is the prevailing opinion going into the Olympics, or maybe since last season. But it gives an opportunity for others to shine, obviously. The thing that I want to say here is that you never want any athlete, and we've seen a number of athletes miss out on the Olympics totally. Clearly, people like Yulimar Rojas not being there. We can point to a number of other athletes who, because of injury, and at the biggest stage, the Olympics is the greatest showcase on earth, and all the eyes are watching. And it's not a situation where you want to see athletes missing out on. And so she's still at the Olympics clearly, and there's every indication that she will run the 200 meters. However, not seeing her over 100 meters for many, that would be disappointing. But you hope that's a thing that they've done to make sure that she can still perform very well. Thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget to put your thoughts in, and we'll get into some of these things here. The first thing you want to say is I want to talk about as well. There's a number of things I want to talk about on the live this morning. Just a quick live to think about the situation. First, I want to make mention of the interview that we saw yesterday from Coach Stephen Francis. There are different, he's doing a number of interviews. And there's a particular journalist that asked about the health status of Jackson. And he said she was 100% healthy. Now, how do we interpret what 100% healthy means? Is it them hedging their bets when it comes to her being a bit sharper because the 100 meters is this week and the 200 meters is next week? Is that a situation where they're thinking that with a bit more preparation, she might be in better shape for that? Are they thinking if she's not at her best, then she won't be anywhere close to competing for a medal? What is the thought process there? Is it a strategy that many coaches do and across all sports to downplay injury concerns? I mean, these kind of stuff are questions that we won't necessarily get an answer for. We just have to wait and see. Once she touches the track on the 200 meters, we'll get a better indication of where she really is. When we saw that injury just before the Olympics on the Continental Tour, when she was leading in the 200 meters, and it didn't look good, right? All the indications suggest that it was a cramp, but cramps are easy to assess sometimes from a verbal standpoint, but sometimes you can have even worse concerns once you do a scan. They won't obviously reveal any details on a scan, and it's in their right not to do that, clearly. And to protect the medical status of athletes, and obviously it's a competitive sporting environment. So you hope it's a situation where they think they're giving her the best opportunity to be super competitive over the 200 meters and more time to get sharp. And so when Francis yesterday says she's healthy, you can probably believe that, but healthy and ready to run an explosive 100 meters are two different situations. And with a few more days preparation, you hope that she'll be in much better situation come the 200 meters. Yeah. Thanks everyone for getting on. I don't know if you guys are shocked or dismayed or what's the emotion right now. Don't forget to put your comments in the chat, like the video. I appreciate that. Now, I want to touch on what does that mean for the implication of the 4x1 relay. But first, obviously, Shasha Lee Forbes comes in, good replacement. She had a decent season as well. We wish her the very best, and hopefully she can get to a situation where she'll be competitive. She can move up the ladder as well and get some eyes on her. I'm not quite sure what her intentions would be, but obviously you've gotten a chance and you have to take it with open arms and do extremely well on that. So that's there. Let me talk about the implications of 4x1 a bit and some other things. So it brings up a couple concerns here. And the concerns I have, and I've been having them for a while, some of which I've not really expressed on air. I've talked to different people about it. It brings up two questions. One critique that I have of the International Olympic Committee, and in a way, maybe World Athletics and their ability to negotiate properly. I want to touch on that. And I also want to touch on some administrative challenges, in particular, when it comes to what's happening in the Jamaican context. So let me talk about IOC for sure. So for many people, if you understand track and field, if this was a world championships, a relay pool would be 6 deep. Here it's 5. And that poses a number of challenges. One, you're an athlete short. But not only you're an athlete short in the sense that the way in which the IOC and the Paris organizers have done this, if you really wanted to bring more athletes, they're not able to go in the Olympic Village. That is not good. I think World Athletics didn't do a good enough job on this. IOC runs the show. And we can get into the politics of the IOC. I don't know if you've I've seen this before, but there are even events that happen in track and field at the IOC in previous years don't want in the Olympics. They want a tighter program, but we can get into that for another day. But back to the point. So you limit that. They don't allow them to get into the village, and you're in a situation where injuries happen all the time. But more importantly, for many nations, and this is not a Jamaica thing or a USA thing or anything, the USA are probably okay on this. But for many nations, they rely heavily because they're not deep enough on athletes to really perform. If they do a double, to come back and do hard work in a relay. And the countries that are deep obviously can fidget around a bit with that. So that's not a really good thing when your pool is shorter, because that doesn't only impact the amount of people, but it impacts the kind of training that you could do, a few baton exchanges and so on. So I think I'm ultra critical of IOC for this, and maybe in part also World Athletics for not doing a better job here, especially when you think about what the Olympics is and how the track and field portion is often the most watched part of the Olympics, of the Summer Olympics in general. And even in terms of people packing inside, I mean, there's reasons for that too, because usually you're in a stadium, so you get a lot more bodies inside of that. But it does, and it is the most significant part of the Olympics. Not to downplay any other sport, but that's where a lot of eyes go. And for them to not kind of exercise that dominance is a really problematic situation. Let me get to a couple comments here. Marion says Jamaican don't like the truth. We're not ready. In what aspect are you talking about the readiness? But we can talk more about that if you want. John, how are you doing? This is Tia is now the fastest Jamaican in 100 meters. Yeah, I wanted to touch on that later on. I don't know. I mean, you've seen the reports from Francis and others. If you study Stephen Francis, the way he talks is he gives you indications, he leads you on, he never gives you anything sometimes. I suspect from what I've heard and what he's now kind of showcasing is that there's expectation for Clayton rather, that she could do something. But you also have to remember, and I think he pointed that out too, she's very young. She's a teenager. And not that a teenager can't step up and do something, but you're talking about there's a lot of top class athletes there as well, right? There's Shakara Richardson, who goes in now as bigger favorite, probably, if you check the bookies at some point. Julian Alfred, as I mentioned, I think she could potentially win it all as well. There's that. I don't know what that means for Fraser Price. Fraser Price is one of those athletes that, as you know, she's the greatest for me and as a career over 100 meters. But, what does that mean? There's a number of interesting kind of scenarios that may play out. Tia is clearly super talented. It might be a bit too early. I don't know. You let me know. But it's an opportunity. I mean, a fit Shericka Jackson, should have been on the podium, would have been on the podium. Most people would say what position on the podium we can argue about. However, a fit Shericka Jackson, you anticipate would have been on the podium. All right, so that's one thing. So thanks for the comments, guys. Thanks for being on the live. Don't forget to put in your other stuff. So that's one thing there. The IOC creating a situation that every nation state would have been affected by. So it's not only it's everybody. But it leads me to the other question and the other critique rather. And this is big for me, and I'm really upset about this in many ways. And it leads on to some other stuff that we can talk about that's been happening in track and field. Is what on earth administratively the Jamaica Olympic Association couldn't figure out, and the J3As. What are they doing? If they immediately tell you that the relay pool is smaller, if they start to tell you that if you name a bunch of alternate athletes for events that they cannot go into the village, you would have known this for a good while. It was known. You could argue about it. You could fight the battle from World Athletics. They're not going to do it. Paris is doing this on a budget. I told you guys, I've been there. They've only built 2 new facilities. They've repurposed a lot of stuff. They've been doing pop-up stadiums. They do all of these things because they're on this environmental thing, which is fine, which is great. I don't blame them also for spending a bunch of money on stuff that will eventually turn into white elephants. We can get into the economics of Olympics and so on, but this is not a class today. Got to take my sport and politics class for that. However, once they tell you that you're going to be short, these people won't have access to the village, they won't access to certain places, the first thing you got to do is to find a spot in the area. Somewhere in Paris, heck, go over Saint-Denis, wherever you want to go, somewhere in a reasonable distance, even on the train, either on the metro or the one that goes out to the different parts, and have these people staying there. It's not brain surgery. It's simple common sense. You will pick up injuries. You will pick up all sort of stuff. You could have a situation where an athlete gets pulled out because of a violation. There's a number of things that can happen. So this whole notion of athletes getting there if they want to stay on standby by themselves on their dime is nonsense at the highest level. It cannot work. It shouldn't work. This is what you're talking about: administrative failure. For all we talk and whatever you want to say, when it comes to the Olympics, when it comes to track and field in general, that's the biggest sport Jamaica has to offer. That's the most important thing they offer. You might like football, you might like whatever. It don't matter. This is what comes into mind. And you sit here and not rent an entire Airbnb, not book some hotel in Paris. I don't care what it costs. Like, they should have the money for this, and who to pay for it. Nonsense. So this is the same thing that they had over the discussion. And I didn't talk about it because I don't really like to get into these things, but it now is more apparent. I've talked to a number of people who are in the know, and every time I talk to these people, the first thing they talk about is this infighting, this nonsense that's happening between these two agencies that are in charge of the sport. And then you have athletes' lives that are being affected here. And then obviously the preparation goes awry. So where is Kemba Nelson? Is she in Spain? Where is Kemba Nelson? Where are other athletes that you believe could be of value? You should have had a setup where you go and you sit and you say, look, we're going to put you over here. You're going to feel a little second class at the Olympics, but it's not our fault. It is how the rules are structured by the IOC. But you're integral and crucial component to the overall success of the team. And we need you to be in a mental state, ready, coming to the different training sessions, making sure you are providing a role of support. And if we need you, you got to suit up. It's not problematic. You could probably beg somebody to put them in an apartment. You could have done a homestay. You know what a homestay would look like for some of these people to be feeling as if they're contributing to the well-being of people. You don't need to do that, obviously, but you could have done that if you couldn't figure it out. And I find this is the one of the most egregious things. People got to be fired for this. We got to call some names at some point. This is nonsense of the IS order. All right. Let's see. John is saying Alfred yet to run a legal mid 10-6. Yeah. Marion saying they don't care. John J, a law unto themselves. No, I mean this is crazy behavior happening between the JOA and the J3s. Absolute nonsense. Thank you for everybody for coming on. Thank you for joining. Big news, obviously. Shericka Jackson's out. We're discussing some of the implications of what that means. I'm touching on what that means for the 4x1. Even without her being injured, it would have been a problem for the 4x1 in general. It will be, especially with this less, you don't have the same amount of quota that you have at a world championships. And the workaround is to have your athletes there on standby to be participating. It's a big deal. It's not a normal thing here. You have to figure it out. The United States have figured this out. The next joke I've always said, and I talked about this earlier, maybe months ago, if you're not really understanding what's happening in Paris as an administrator, you should not be doing the job. Paris said we're not putting any AC in the village. I could have told you. I told you that. I went and I saw some of these things. If your athletes need AC, you gotta figure it out. The USA, you know what they did? They figured it out. You gotta spend the money. This is where you gotta lean in on the right people. If you're not spending the money now, when are you gonna spend it? When are you gonna ask Puma? When are you gonna ask your sponsors or whoever, the government? You know, I'm an interesting guy. I don't care about government and involvement in sport, but I don't live in Jamaica, so I can talk about it. I understand the context is different, but anyway, I don't want to digress on that. So that is a problem for me. You know, that is a problem for me. What does this do to the implication of where medals may go? Maybe it wouldn't have changed anything. I don't know. You know, maybe Sha'Carri thinks this might be an easier way for her. It could be. I'm not saying she's. Let me be clear. I'm not saying she's smiling about anybody being injured. I don't think nobody wants that. But obviously, she probably feels a little bit more relaxed because a major contender won't be there. Does it mean Fraser Price gets on the medal podium again? Can she pull off something special? What does it mean for Clayton? Does she step up? Does she rise to it? A lot of people are talking about a 2008 again. I don't know. You know, maybe Alfred does the trick. You know, does it allow for another one of the Americans to get on the podium? It could be. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Whatever happens, it's going to be intriguing, no doubt about it. Kim on, what's going on? Shericka withdrawal from the 100, not surprising. Several things to consider. One, Francis has stated last year, if Shericka is to break the world record, she may have to run one event. Yeah, I don't think they're on world record shape. I get your point. No one's on world record shape in Paris. Not world record shape. Let me take that back. I don't think anybody's going for a world record in Paris. Don't think about it that way. I've said before, and speaking of that, have you guys seen my new video? I have a new explainer on why I don't think world records will happen in Paris. I hope I'm wrong on it because I like to see world records. But I'm just thinking that the and we can put that in the chat, obviously. it's it's not an easy thing to go after, right? It's just not an easy thing to go after. You have to think about a number of other things. It's hard to double if you've missed significant amount of training. There's a lot of injury stuff that clearly they've been going through, or setbacks that they haven't led us to know about. They haven't that they haven't said much about it. And so in truth, this is what's happening here. They now have to kind of work around it in some ways. Hey, Shamar, what's going on? What's up? Yeah, so we're just talking about the news of Jackson being out. We'll see what happens there. She's still in the 200 meters. She was doing some interesting stuff there on the. She was doing a media event as well, so she seems to be in good spirits. Hopefully, it's just a mechanism to ensure that she's at her best in the 200 meters. Come on again. Let me read your comment. Secondly, she may be fit enough for one event. She just may not. She just maybe choose the one better in it. Okay. So yeah, I think you're right on that. I think what's happening here is you pick the event that you think you have a better chance of winning. And to add on to that, or just to reinforce that point too, as yesterday when Francis said it, or the day before, Coach Francis, that is, she's 100% healthy. 100% healthy and race sharp are two different things, and you don't want to be not race sharp for the 100 meters in particular. There's less scope for mistakes in 100 meters, especially and when you think about an athlete like Shericka Jackson, who doesn't always hit it the right way, technique wise, she still has some ways to go there. It might be more prudent to just save it for the 200 meters. You can recover from more mistakes in the 200 meters if you're in the right shape. Also, it gives them a little bit more time to get the body right, sharper. A couple more days, obviously, in preparation for that. Shama, will Sid be running the relay? You mean Sydney McLaughlin? I suspect she will. I mean, I think she's on the 4x4 for sure. Unless there's been changes out of the US camp that I have not seen. But I anticipate she'll play a major role. Usually, they'll probably stick her on the second leg or the third leg for sure. There's no question about that. As long as Sydney McLaughlin isn't hurt, she should participate in the 4x4. It's going to be a ridiculous 4x4 for sure. You're talking about the Dutch will also run really well. I'm looking forward for that. Shamar is saying that I want Jacko to run the 400, 200, the 400. Oh, you mean the 4x1? Sorry, are you saying the 4x1 and 200, or is it? Oh, the 4x100. You mean? Okay. Yeah, I suspect she will play a role. I suspect she'll play a role. Yeah. Kimon is also saying Francis said Tia should be a 10th faster in Paris. Yeah, he did say that. I guess he's saying she's definitely can go like 1070 something, 1070. That would be, if she does that, you know how ridiculous he would be as a coach. I mean, we already know he is, but to get her to do that within how long has the Claytons been there? A year or so? He usually takes more time than that. Yeah, if she were, I suspect if you can run 1074 in the final of the 100 meters at this year's Olympics, if you're capable of doing that, you should be on the podium in some position for sure. I think if you can run sub 10.8, you should find your way somewhere on the podium. What position on that podium, I don't know for sure. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining in. I really appreciate you guys coming in and we're touching on the breaking news and what's been happening there. Yeah. Agro Valley is saying Frana need to stop misleading people and state the truth about the health status of Shericka. Interesting. If you know Stephen Francis and people who know him that I've talked to for many years, he's really calculated. He never tells you anything he doesn't want to tell you. And so that's interesting. Yesterday he was asked pointedly that she's healthy, and he says she's 100% healthy. But I actually think she could be 100% healthy. I think she could be fine. I think from a sports science standpoint, and we can get into sports science people there, I think that could be the case. The problem is it's like coming back from an injury and being in tip-top shape. That it sometimes it takes a while, right? I suspect if they're correct that she's healthy, then what they're just trying to do is to hedge their bets and sharpen her up in the next coming days in order to get to full fitness for the 200 meters. But I don't know. Thanks everybody for coming on. Shamar, well, the women's 100 is all open to win. Yeah, I think Jackson, not Jackson, Richardson, obviously, and Alfred will be the biggest of the lot to decide the gold medal, probably. A lot of people think that Clayton can step up. Other people think you give Fraser Price a sniff. All Fraser Price needs is two good starts, right? I don't know what shape she really is in, right? We only saw that she hasn't gone sub 10.8, so it's hard to know. And obviously she's much older and she's just there to have a lot of fun, even though she just says it's her last Olympics, which indicates that she may want to stay on a little bit longer. Could we see her in Tokyo next year, the World Championships? We can talk about that. John was confirming just 2 years. Yeah, thanks for that. Gavin, greetings to you, Gavin. John again is saying Tia was 75-1 to medal before trials, now 8-1 to medal. Interesting. I see some of you guys are on the bookies big time. Kim on is saying being fit and healthy is two different things, speaking as a former 400-meter sprinter. No, I 100% agree with you. I think it happens in every sport. Like even if you were to come back from any kind of a setback, it usually takes some time to just familiarize yourself on it. And she it's not that she has any opportunity to run in the races before to even test it out. And also the 100 is much more explosive than the 200. It is. And maybe they're worried about that at some point. I don't know. Yeah. Gavin is also saying, I think this is intentional. It's a very strategic move for Shericka to attempt the 200 record, as this is her true last year to get it. Interesting. I don't know if it's her last year to get the record. To be honest with you, I don't know that for sure. The record is hard. She's been very close. She's not had favorable opportunities to break it in the terms of conditions. Conditions really matter to break that FloJo record. It's outrageous. And it requires, I would say, when we look at those 21.4s that Shericka ran in the previous couple of seasons, especially in Eugene and elsewhere, Budapest too, had she gotten something as a 1.5, 1.6 or better, I think she would definitely get much closer to record, probably closer to 2 meters per second, could push her over when she was in the form of her life over the last couple of years. Whether she'll get back to that stage, I actually don't know. We'll see. I mean, Tokyo should be good next year. It will require good conditions, really require good conditions, right? Yeah. I know you're doing it based on age for sure. Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, there's not a lot of opportunity left, I would imagine. ITIL, track and field scientist, what's going on? This news cuts like a knife, Mama Rocket. We can't leave it all on you. Yeah, it's one of those things. The Jamaicans have been dominant at the Olympics over 100 meters for a very long time, back to back from Fraser Price in 08 and 2012, then Elaine Thompson era. And now for the first time, the big three, we have this new proverbial big three. Only Fraser Price remains in the 100 meters. Last time at Tokyo, 1, 2, 3. It's certainly a tough moment. I am never worried about the state of sprinting when it comes to the women in Jamaica. It's never been a problem, in terms of the talent pool coming through and the commitment of these athletes. And sometimes, if you don't win the Olympics, it's not the end of the world. No one wants to see that if you have a certain persuasion. However, that's how sport works. And it doesn't mean that they can't still pull it off. I have a lot of doubts on that. I feel like it's going to come down to Alfred and Richardson. But I'm open for anything other than that too. I feel like a Jamaican can force their way on the podium, so I think that will still be of of important value. I suspect, Jamaicans always find a way. I suspect, you go by Barcelona, there's Cuthbert on the podium, Atlanta. Merlin gets pipped on the line by a brilliant dip from Gail Divas, who went back to back to become the second woman after Wyoming Matthias to do that. There's always a way to be on that podium. Uh, you know, they find a way. So you want it to be goal. People get spoiled with 1-2-2s and 1-1-2-3s. But that's one of those things. There's a lot of talent in the wings, much so than we've even seen in terms of them never letting the country down. So I don't worry about that. Let's get back to some more of these things. And you can't count out the GOAT. The GOAT could find a couple runs and get a start that will make you force her to run her down. I don't know if she can, but we'll see. Patrick is saying too bad for Jackson, sad news, but I'm expecting a goal for Alfred and St. Lucia. Yeah, I think it would be fantastic if the gold medal stays in the Caribbean, a lot of people won't be upset about that. Julian Alfred is a special talent. This is the year. Coach Flo, I think it's also, I've been talking about it all season. This is the first year that she doesn't have a collegiate season, so she is in a space where she's being primed for this. We'll get to find out in a matter of days. And Jay Ellis is saying, will she run relay? Don't know the answer to that. I hope she does. Clearly she won't run the opening round of the relay if she shows up for the 200 meters. There's no way that's going to happen. Yeah. Blackwood is saying, remember she runs those 21s with the 100 and 200 meter rounds in her legs. No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. That's why I keep saying on the record, some conditions are right where you are, how you run it. It's hard for me to see the FloJo record going in a championship, especially if the athlete is doubling. I just don't see it. It's the same way I say the Usain Bolt 200 meter record cannot be broken in a championship. It's not happening. And no one's breaking the 958. Let's forget that too. But you probably need to pop up on Paris in a warm night or in Zurich or so. That's a different story. You could get something there, but I don't see it, really don't see it. King, what's going on? The fact that Fraser Price is extending her career seems she's obviously confident and fit to medal at this Olympics, or else she wouldn't have continued. No, I agree. I think the great Shelly Fraser Price, I've said it all the time, the GOAT, the greatest career of 100 meters you'll ever see, man or woman alive. Fighter, I use the line that I always plagiarize for myself. Can you beat her? Yeah. Can you force her off a medal podium? Has yet to happen. The one time she never made it on a podium was really when she was sick in 2011. But she fights 2016. She has that toe and still finds a way on the podium. Last year, she barely ran, came into that thing. She wasn't healthy, but found a way. I think there's a determination, a steely determination, a fighting spirit, something that's beyond talent. That's something beyond people around you. It's deep in Shelly Fraser Price. That's why she continues. Because no one would be continuing to run at this age, this good. It's madness personified. To put the body through what is required to run fast consistently as you grow older, it's just not a normal thing. And it's even weirder that she continues to do this when there's no real thing to prove. She has no answers to give. There's no questions you can ask about the career. 5-time world champion. There's one period in time she held every title. She won the Moscow thing, the double. She had a 60-meter thing. She's run super fast, consistent. She's done a number of consistent 10-6. So she's hovering around the extreme elite of times. Back-to-back at the Olympics, medals at the Olympics again. There's no reason for her to be running if it doesn't come from some deep drive to still do it. Like like, what's the motivation, right? Like, how do you get up out of bed and continue to do this? That's the question. That's the $1 million question you have to ask. Different class. That's a separate kind of human being that we're talking about here. Don't even know if she's from this planet, because you cannot push the body that hard approaching the 40s. And the once in a generational athlete. You remember Merle Natis staying around for so long. The love for the sport has to be so deep that you can't do anything about it. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm missing out. I get to your comments here. Don't forget to continue to like the video. I appreciate you on. I had to come live because obviously we saw the breaking news. Bartholomew Brown. Good morning, good afternoon, or night, or wherever you are. Gabby Thompson decided to forego the 100 meters at US trial to focus on the 200. Makes sense to focus on your best race. It would be hard to beat Richardson this year. No, good point. Good point. I hope Gabby at some point decides to be a proper 2-4 runner. I think she's super special too. She's in that kind of era where she could do all three events the same, like Rashida Adelike. Yeah. Kim on is saying, remember Brianna Liston in the win. Yeah, Liston will come through. There's a group of women that I'm very excited, obviously, about. Alana Reed, too. All of these women, the Clayton sisters, the next one will come through, too. You would imagine there's nothing to worry about. It may not work the way you want, but let's see. John is saying, Tia at 29-1 for silver worth a thought on go. Hey, I think I said John is operating the betting shop in the room here. Gavin, I think Frano was hinting us when he mentioned that the relay pool will be short. No, I imagine. I don't disagree with that, Gavin. I think Francis tells you what he wants to tell you. Yeah. Christopher M is saying Stephen Francis' brain as a coach is second to none. He's going for 100 and 200 meter goal with a world record in the process. Hey. You mean on the women's side, right? And then he's probably going to try to do that on the men's side too, right? Interesting. Yeah. JLS Flojo doubled in 1 and 2 and broke the world record, right? No, she broke the world record in Indianapolis. Yeah. So in the 100 meter, she broke it in Indianapolis. On what? Until I go to my grave, was a hurricane. There's a study on this, but it's out there. Cheryl, what's up? I told you weeks ago that Jackson will not be running in Paris. Cheryl, you gotta send me an email because I want to know all the insight that you're having. Let's have an off conversation. I'm sure you don't have to do that, but you did. I remember that on the live. You meant the 100 meters, right? Dina, how are you doing, Dina? Cheryl, you're still wrong because she's running the 200. Yeah. Gavin would support Shericka pulling out of the 100 if she's not in the best shape to produce a 10.6. Yeah, I think you want to be in a 10. I don't think you have to run 10.6 to win the 100 meters, but you want to be in that kind of shape to be confident that you can get on the podium. Yeah, you can get. Are you confident on this, Cheryl? We'll see. Christopher M is saying Shericka is runner. I'm not sure I understand this. JL is Shericka running 4x4. I thought not in this cycle. I don't think that would be outrageous right now. Yeah, no. So that's some interesting stuff there going on. So yeah, I don't know, how you guys revise your predictions. If you do, don't forget to like. We're coming back live again. This has been good. I want to touch on a couple other things too that it's been tragic out of the Olympics. One, I want to talk about administrative. Since I talked about administrative failures earlier, I also, want to talk about what happened to Favour Afili from Nigeria. I don't know if you guys saw this. She was left off the thing and so she won't be running the 100 meters. So this suggests there is some kind of a failure by administrators again. It's so sad to see that she won't be participating in the 100 meters. I mean, this is akin to what happened to the hammer thrower from Jamaica, Clunis. These things should never happen, ladies and gentlemen. I think they're running professional sport like a pop-up operation, like a second-rate operation. And this is heartbreaking for Ophelia in particular because I think she was on course to do her best here. I don't know what that means, but when you think about an athlete not getting a chance to run in an Olympic year or participate in an Olympic year when they're in the sport of track and field, and it's no fault of their own, it's utterly unacceptable. It's ridiculous of the highest order. Because track and field is a poor person's sport. I keep saying this. I don't mean it in a pejorative way. I mean that the way in which the organization of the sport and the money that flows in is low in comparison to popularity. It's low in comparison to what it gets. Like tennis. Tennis is a poor person's sport too. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though those guys make millions and millions of dollars, the eyes on tennis should be much. The eyes that are on tennis it doesn't connect the same way the money should be on. So you think about golf. Golf is a super rich sport. They don't get the same views like tennis or something like that. It's that those are kind of some market failures there that we can talk about for another day. But back to Ophelia and back to what's happening to her. So you don't get into this, no fault of your own. That puts you in a really bad position in terms of what does that mean? She could be losing out on future sponsorship if she were to do well. It's outrageous. The same thing for the hammer thrower there from Jamaica. She's not getting any spotlight. She's not getting any kind of support. The field events barely get support in track and field. You know, you even saw the interview. I don't know if you guys saw the interview from Campbell, Rajendra Campbell, the Jamaican shot putter. You know, he has to work a job. He has to work part time to support himself. And this is the guy that is thrown over 22 meters. Is a guy that could potentially finish high. He could get into the finals of the shot put. You know, if he throws a big one, he could be in and around. I don't think he has a possibility of medaling, but it's a year where Krauser is injured. An injured Krauser might mean silver medal and not gold. But you never know. People can make mistakes, and he can find himself in the mix. And so you think about saying that if you don't, and when you wonder sometimes why some athletes don't perform the way they are, it's because they don't have the kind of support sometimes. Like that's interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I feel bad for Favor Ophelia. Obviously, I feel bad for the Jamaican hammer thrower too, because it's just those things should never happen. Never happen. Let me get back to some more comments here. I think I'm missing a lot. I don't know where I am. If I miss it, I'll just let me know and I'll get back to it. Jay Ellis is saying Shakari, Alfred Shelley. That could happen. Dina is saying Cheryl said it out her mouth to Puma. She said, "Oh, she's only doing the 200 meters." Okay, you're meaning Shericka said it. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, yeah, she was talking. There is a Puma event today, I believe. Yeah, and Shericka Jackson was there. Gavin Frano have the nation brain frazzled. Man, he does that a lot, right? Yeah, and to think he doesn't like to talk to the media. Huh. Think again. JLS has Kishane, Noah, Tobago. That could happen. That could happen. I mean, I'm hoping that a fit oblique civil can have some conversation there as well. Dina saying, guess no Jamaica alone have patty shop with leaving athletes off the list. Yeah, no, I'm telling you. But I think the Jamaica thing is more egregious than most places. This is the biggest sport in the country in terms of what it showcases to the rest of the world and the eyes. You should not make these mistakes. Don't do that. I'm not saying the Nigerians are without blame. They should be ashamed of themselves. But the organization of sport in track and field is nowhere as efficient as it when you compare it to Jamaica. And I talked to some of the journalists who cover the Nigerian stuff and them wanting to revolutionize their track and field system, even their junior at the junior level and so on. Yeah, it's outrageous. Gavin, so reckless, I would say she's one of their top athletes. She should be a priority, and that's in reference to Favor Ophelia. I agree with you. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Sadly, I say again, no Jamaican female getting a medal in Paris 100 and 200. Cheryl is saying, okay, we'll find out soon. Dina, the delusional USA said them I go sweep the women 100 meters, but me met them know that okay. Clearly, I can't read part of it well. When I should. Yeah, I don't know. I actually don't think the U.S. can sweep the 100 meters on. I think for whatever it's worth, I definitely think that that Julian Alfred will be on the podium in some mix. So therefore, I don't think there might be a sweep. I mean, all things being equal, but you never know. I mean, people like sweeps. It's not easy to accomplish, but we'll see. John is agreeing. Yes, a poor man's sport, but Tia gets anywhere near top 3. The bidding war will begin for the twins' life story. No, I'm not saying they won't get remuneration. I'm not saying they won't get something out of it. I'm saying is the sport is not set up to uplift the athletes in a way that it should. There's a lot of problems there. There's gonna be all these new stuff that comes up in the next few years. World Athletics has been changing themselves. Michael Johnson and his team are launching some kind of athletic stuff. There's these different leagues. We need that. I don't know how well that will turn out. I have to see. But there's a lot of issues at World Athletics which are structural in the way they are conservative in the way they market the sport, the way they develop the sport. They back Diamond League. They'll have to back the other stuff in order for a lot more validity to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. We can talk about that in days to come. Debbie, what's going on? Hi, she's saying hi all. Thanks for being here. Cheryl, closest medal to Jamaica is Alfred St. Lucia. Debbie's saying sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. This is for Forbes and Tia time to prove. And Tia time to prove her. Yeah. Look, when you get gifts, you have to take them. If you're Sasha Lee Forbes, make sure you find your way somewhere close to that 100-meter final. You got to run for your life. Someone gave you an opportunity and you dig deep and you say, look, I'm going to take this with open arms. I'm going to prove to them that I belong. Because make no mistake, there will be a section of people who are going to be critical of her if she doesn't perform the way she should. And I'm not saying that's you guys on the live. I'm saying there's going to be a section of people who are going to say, she shouldn't have gotten a spot. They're going to start talking about she going to somebody else. These are the things that will happen. But she should take this with open arms. I wish her the very best. I hope she can run really well because this is a once in a life opportunity. Gavin, guys, trust me. I think it's a chess game playing right now with the top coaches. I think this is bigger than the athletes. Interesting you would say that. I don't know if coaches go to that extent to play above the athletes, right? Why would they put them in jeopardy? But I do understand the point you're trying to make. Top Boy Price, what's going on? Don't worry. Shelly-Ann going to shock us all in Paris for that gold medal. Love the confidence. Love the confidence. It wouldn't be a support if the price wasn't supporting another price. But yeah, I would love it. You know me. I make no mistakes around it. I just love that career. I think what she's done, what she's continuing to do is special. And for her, if she were, let me put it this way: if people allow Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce to get on that medal podium, they gotta answer a lot of questions. I'm not, we have to call them out because the woman has barely ran this year and she is struggling with something clearly, and she's approaching beyond elder statesman in the sport of track and field. Elder stateswoman, she shouldn't be there. This is all the things prove that she shouldn't be there. Like, you go by the normal stuff. That's why she's not normal. Yeah. Dean is saying, I hope Sasha Lee really makes use of it in Jesus' name. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. And Gavin, every Olympic, it's just 3-4 coaches clashing. Yeah, coaches have egos too. There's no second guessing around it. And thank you everybody for rolling in on the live. I really appreciate all of you guys. We're having over 100 and some 30 of you on the live. Only 31 likes, so do me a favor and smash that like button. However, I think it's all about the athletes, obviously, right? And I think they want to do their best for them, and they try to make these decisions. But the coaches do have reputations at stake because they also have contracts. Some are tied to different shoe companies too. Many of them are thinking about their legacy of the ability to poach younger athletes to come and move with them. So I understand where you're coming with that from that as well. The same 3-4 coaches. I guess you're talking about like who are you talking about? Name names. I won't guess them for you. I think I know who you're talking about. You can name him. Son of Jamaica. We still got it, man. Don't stress yourself. Yeah, I don't. I love that. I think that's important for people to realize that when you give people opportunity, they may take it with open arms, and sometimes what looks not so great may work out well in the end. And sometimes it is what it is. Sometimes cycles have to change a little bit, and you have to reevaluate, and that's how it works, right? And it's not the end of the world, you know. Yeah. I don't worry about Jamaican women and the talent that they push through. The biggest issue is they have so many of them that it's a great competitive scene, and it will continue to be strong whether or not they come out, whether or not they make it on the podium or win the gold medal. I think it's amazing. You could just go back for years. We're talking about, look, if you go do the history and stuff, you go back to the London and the Helsinki Olympics, and it's just like there's, you got your Arthur Wins, you have your Herb McKinleys and Rode and Les Lang, those guys, and then there's a big lull. You get into the 60s. There's a bunch of people there, but not much success. You get the Quarry and so on, and then the evolution of success is largely dependent on women, and all those great women, your Merle Notties, your Grace Jacksons, Juliet Cuthberts, all of them, Lorraine Fenton, Dion Emmons. I don't want to start calling names because I'll forget people, and then, there's different generations. And so I think there's nothing to be worried about, even if the results don't turn the way you want it to, right? Yeah, I agree with that. Courtney Vegan is saying, has the AC issue fixed for the Jamaican athletes in Paris yet? Not that I know of, to be honest with you. It should never been an issue. I think you knew this was happening. Everything about the Paris Olympics was transparent. Everything the French said they were going to do, they delivered on. They weren't going to spend a lot more money there. The only kind of money they're spending is a ton load of money on cleaning up the River Seine, which they had to postpone. If you guys allow me to go off on another another sport, they had to postpone the triathlon. When I was there some time back, the river was okay for swimming but not for drinking. And now, we saw all the stunts from the Paris mayor and different French officials chucking off into River Seine saying it's ready. The problem with it is that a downpour, which happened during the open ceremony, can throw stuff off. And that's what happened. And if there's more rain, it could be a problem. They could postpone the triathlon, I think, until Friday. And if not, they'll have to turn it into a duathlon, and which just go off 2 medals. And the thing is, I think the European safety standards allow for 900 CFUs per 100 milliliters, I believe. And when they measured the triathlon course at 4 points, I think that's what the standard requires for the 1500 meters. It had like readings ranging from like 980 up into the 12 or near 1300 region there. So that's not healthy. Or I guess you have to do like I don't know how many people saw the US athlete who said he knew that E. coli would be an issue, so he started to introduce bacteria in his body by not washing his hands after bathroom and so on, which is a little bit crazy, but we'll see. All right, back Yvette. I don't know if I know what that emoji means. You can tell me. Gavin is also saying, "Son of what about?" I guess you're responding to son of Jamaica. What about the people who have bet a lot of money on her? I'm sure this advice won't work. Well, I can step in and say that people shouldn't bet on sports. It's one of those interesting things because you require people to perform. You should do better things with your money. Invest it more wisely. But I get it. I get it. There's also a game behind this. Yeah. So this is some interesting times, guys. I am really uh saddened that she's out of the 100 meters, but I hope that Jackson, that is, I hope that it is an opportunity for them to sharpen her some more, and then she'll produce something wonderful over the 200 meters. And I hope that the Jamaican women will step up. I think it would be good for competition and so on. Gavin is saying, I think it's just front athletes who have the AC. Well, that shows you where the preparation goes, right? You cannot look. I did complain about administrative stuff, so I guess I'll go off on it some more. Look, Stephen Francis has said it a number of times that he never trusts these organizers, so he double checks his own stuff, right? So, and he's a bit irreverent when it comes to these things. I think if you are an athlete, especially a top athlete, so I'm not talking about the ones who maybe just transitioning out of college or so and they don't have all the structures around them, but if you are, it is your responsibility to make sure that some of the things that you need to be successful are implemented. It doesn't mean you have to pay for them, but it means you may have to demand them and make us think about it. And in cases where you can just pay for it and don't bother with all of the nonsense, you do it because you are running for yourself as well, or you're throwing for yourself, or you're jumping. You are participating for your own future. Yes, you're representing some nation, state, but you have to do it for yourself first. And if you don't take that as the kind of guiding principle, then it's a problem. And when you know that you're doing it for yourself, then you have to advocate for yourself or get the right people to advocate for you. Because nonsense is nonsense. And I said it, it's a big problem that the likes of Kemba Nelson and other people aren't in Paris the same time everybody else arrived. It was not a challenge. And even if you couldn't find something super, super close, to transportation infrastructure is good enough to at least find some place to put them, to get them to be a part of the training mechanism, the setup rather, and have them ready on standby. And you integrate them in a way that makes sure that their value to the success of the overall team is important, whether or not they participate in the Olympics. Them being there ensures that everything else is better. If you don't do it, then you've screwed up royally, and they've done that. Yeah. John, on paper, Shakari Alfred Shelley upset Alfred / Tia Shakari. Interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's where. Yeah, I think that's not a bad call. We'll definitely know what's going on. Don't forget to like, guys, and subscribe if you haven't. I have a new video out. I did a new video on why you shouldn't expect world records in Paris. If you haven't seen it, you could check it out. I hope you like it. Let me know your thoughts on it if you have not seen it. It's a video that I spent a little time doing. One of our explainers. I will be back live again soon. I will be doing a lot of lives during the Olympics. We're going to do watch along. So my plan for the track and field portion is to not do a watch along during the morning session, but maybe do a quick live to recap morning session, make sure we get your thoughts on it and all of that stuff. Watch the evening sessions and then come back again after the evening session to do like a cool review live. Interesting stuff. I don't know if you've seen Sifan Hassan has declared that she will not run the 1500, but she'll run 5,000, 10,000, and the marathon at the Olympics. Kind of mad, but Sifan is that kind of athlete. I think she can do really well over the marathon, but not after running 5 and 10. I don't know if she'll find her way on the medal podiums. Obviously, she's defending champion over 5 and 10, but as I have predicted, she won't win those, I don't think. Yeah, thanks everybody for joining me. This has been a live. Continue to stay on the channel, and I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate all the support by liking and subscribing. And I'm about to catch up with you. So, well, before I go, I think Gavin has another one. Every media info that is reflecting Jamaica from Paris just seemed to be distasteful enough. AC, uniform, short time to showcase Jamaica, opening ceremony. Yeah, I mean the opening ceremony part, I'm less concerned about that. I don't think that's only for fans who want to see that thing. What you want is making sure the athletes are comfortable, making sure everything is a tip-top operation. And it takes investment, it takes proper planning. It's not their first rodeo. You got to have the right team in place. They have to be on stuff. You don't joke around when it comes to the Olympic Games or any major championships, but more so the Olympic Games, because this is the only time that people who never seen the sport in their life will watch. I've said it before, World Athletics will be happy if 1% of the people watch track and field in the Olympics comes over and become an official fan and start watching world championships and all of that stuff. They won't even get 1% of those views because they're not good enough to siphon that off. It takes a lot of time. Yeah. Uh, yeah, Amber, it's a tough time, no, Shericka, yeah, but I think Richardson will be favorites. Obviously, I think Julian Alfred can have a conversation there as well, but that's how it works. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm gonna roll out. I appreciate you guys on the channel. Don't forget like, subscribe, and I'll see you. We'll be back up. Watch my new video on the why I don't think world records should be in Paris, and let me know your thoughts in the comments on that. I will see you. The next live, Gavin, I'm gonna do a live on Thursday night. I'm doing I think we haven't. I don't know if we scheduled it yet, but I want to do a live just before Friday morning again because by then we'll, Olympics start. Well, Olympics technical is the track and field portion technically starts on. The road portion starts on Thursday with the race walking, but it's so early that I don't think I can get up on that. But I want to do a live Thursday night so we can kind of warm up into the events of the day on Friday. And then I'll be doing probably 3 lives on Friday. I'll see you guys. If you want to know when I'm coming live, all you got to do is to subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you'll get notified when we come live. All right. See you guys. Take care.